Mom, tell them about what Granny dressing up like old Black Pete.
And the sock lady.
And the sock lady.
When the kids were bad.
Yeah.
And old Black Pete would go get them.
Tell her what she looked like. What Granny looked like.
Oh, I wish I'd brought a picture.
When she dressed up.
Yes.
Oh, the sock lady?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
We called her the sock lady. We'd get after the kids when they were bad. But she'd take a nylon. You ever see anybody put a nylon over their back?
Yes, we used to do that.
That's what she'd do.
And get after us.
I have a picture of her dressed as the sock lady, and she found a dead cat. And she has this dead cat by the tail. And she was taking the bottle away from Denny, one of our cousins, because it was time for him to give up his bottle, and that's how she was doing it. But one of my granddaughters, when she was little, I'd get that picture out and say, "There's your gene pool. That's it." And she'd just scream.
Santa Claus got Jennifer's bottle when it was time to wean her.
Yeah.
You couldn't complain about Santa Claus.
She didn't care. Santa Claus could have it. It was okay.
Yeah.
When we were bad, the four of us used to play together. Me and my sister and Cindy and her sister. And we used to play together, and we'd get in trouble for doing something. Granny would line us all up and tell us that she wanted to smell our breath. She could tell who was lying.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, anybody who didn't let her smell the breath was the guilty one. But we didn't figure that out for years.
Yeah, we weren't that bright. Yeah.
And then Grandpa Shorty, Mom's dad, he always got Cindy.
He had McGillicuddies.
He had something in his hand.
He had a McGillicuddy in his hand.
I don't know what it was.
It scared her to death.
Yep. I was always afraid of the McGillicuddies.
So Thelma, tell me about your life when you first came here. Just what your days were like, what you did.
Well, I lived, just before I came out here, I lived close to town. And then, of course, there was an army hospital right close to where I lived. And there was buses going back and forth to that hospital going to town every 15 minutes. Well, I came out here, and if we went to town once a month, that was good. And I could not get used to not being able to go to town. We go to the Dalles maybe once or twice a month.
Yeah.
And I couldn't get used to that. And then we had chickens, we had raised chickens, and we had milk cow. And we moved over here, sold the ranch and moved over here. I told Leo there was never going to be a chicken or a cow on this place. And there hasn't been. I've had all the chickens and cows I wanted.
She would raise, fryers and also laying hens and selling eggs. It was always...
I'd probably butcher about 100 roosters every summer.
Ah.
I'd raise...
We had the most fun when she butchered. Because our job was to catch the chickens, take them to her, and then she'd do away with them and then let them go. And of course they flop around.
You
that was our second.
Chop off the hips, yeah.
I was trying to be
polite.
Yeah, and then she'd let them go and they'd flop around. That was our job, was to catch them again.
We had to go find them in the grass and hang them on the clothesline.
Well, that is if they have to get away from me.
Yeah.
And then you had to pluck them. Did you dip them in water?
Hot water.
I did that as a kid too.
Yeah. So you remember like that smell.
Yeah.
No, if you've ever done it, you never forget that smell.
Yeah.
Mom worked so hard though. I know when I was little, she worked just as hard as the men on the ranch, and her hands would crack open and bleed in the winter, just from being in the water so much and doing all the work. I just remember, and she'd she'd try to put stuff on her hands and then put gloves on it to wear at night to try to heal them up.
Oh.
But of course, then the next day you have the same thing all over again. So I just remember great big cracks in her hands and bleeding.
Was that so? Were you working outside or were you the work inside?
Both.
Both.
She would,
Like feeding cows and
yeah,
chickens and
feeding the chickens, washing the eggs, hauling grain to the cows. We had a feed lot. You had to haul 5-gallon buckets of feed and meat pellets to the steers. When I got old enough, then I got that job.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that's probably the reason Mom has lived so long and is so healthy, is because she worked so hard for all those years. Hard physical labor.
Mm-hmm.
She was a good cook, too. She used to cook for all of them.
Absolutely.
And one time, she was serving them meatloaf.
Oh, Bill,
Yeah.
he has to tell that story.
Oh,
Okay.
I love this story.
Okay, let's hear it.
Yes.
Leo's sister used to help me a lot. Well, they cooked, whenever we had somebody working for us, they always cooked lunch for them.
Huge lunch.
Kids hauling hay and whatever, I'd feed them. But anyway, one time there was a bunch of guys there, they were working cattle, Brandon and everything, and the guys were sitting around the dining room waiting for me to get the lunch on the table. I'd made meatloaf, and so Leo's sister was helping me. She started to the table with the meatloaf on the platter, and it rolled off in the floor, right at her feet. And I said, "Oh, it's a good thing I made two." I hadn't. But we
We're faking.
it's a good thing we made two. So I put it back on a tray and threw it back in the kitchen and worked it over. And they never did know the difference. I didn't have two. There was no way to get anything else. They had to eat it.
But she always had 1 or 2 kinds of pie.
Mm-hmm.
Meat, whatever the meat was, sometimes a couple meats, and then salad. We always had a salad and then side dishes,
Mm-hmm.
Dessert.
potatoes, and always the pie.
The guys that now tell me that the ones that used to haul hay for us, that I'd make them eat so much they were sick. I think they were embarrassed and shy, didn't want to eat.
She did, too. She'd feed you till it came out your ears.
Yeah.
So how big a crew were you cooking for? How many people were you cooking for during harvest?
Oh, sometimes 6 or 8, 10 maybe. Yeah.
And was it my grandmother or somebody would, if they didn't have it ready when the men came in, she'd throw an onion in the frying pan to fry it, because then it always smelled like something was cooking in there. Somebody was doing something in there.
Yeah.